My girlfriend said, either I come with you, or you don't go at all, while demanding I return a Christmas gift my sister-in-law made for me. This is tearing our relationship apart. I never thought I would be writing this, but I am at my wit's end, and need some perspective from strangers on the internet. My girlfriend Aubrey and I have been together for 2 years. She is incredible in so many ways, beautiful, passionate, and when things are good between us, they are really good. But lately, something has shifted, and I am watching our relationship crumble over what should have been a sweet family moment. Let me paint you the picture. Christmas Eve at my brother Lucas's house. The whole family was there. My parents flew in. Aubrey came with me. And of course, Lucas and his wife Selena were hosting. Selena has always been this warm, creative person who goes out of her way to make everyone feel included. She has been part of our family for 3 years now. And honestly, she is like the sister I never had. After dinner, when we were all exchanging gifts, Selena handed me this carefully wrapped package with this shy smile. Inside was this incredibly detailed stuffed character from this obscure indie game I have been obsessed with lately. Not something you could buy in stores. She had clearly spent weeks hand-sewing every detail, getting the colors perfect, even adding little accessories that only someone who really paid attention would know about. I was genuinely touched. I thanked her enthusiastically and set it on the coffee table with the rest of my gifts. That is when I noticed Aubrey's face. She was staring at the gift with this expression I had never seen before. Not quite anger, not quite hurt, but something cold and calculating. When I asked her later what was wrong, she brushed it off, but the atmosphere had already shifted. The rest of the evening felt tense, and she barely spoke on the drive home. The next morning she exploded. Why did Selena make that for you specifically? She demanded before I had even had my coffee. Did you ask her for it? Have you two been talking about your games together? I tried to explain that no, it was just a thoughtful surprise, but she kept pressing. She didn't make anything special for Lucas. She didn't make anything for your parents. Why just you, Damien? What makes you so special to her? The conversation spiraled from there. Aubrey started dissecting every interaction I had ever had with Selena, reframing innocent moments as evidence of some hidden agenda. The time Selena asked about my work project at Thanksgiving, the time she recommended a book she thought I would enjoy, the time she saved me a piece of pie when I was running late to dinner. Normal sisters-in-law don't do these things, Aubrey insisted. She is crossing boundaries, and you are too naive to see it. I felt like I was in some alternate reality where kindness was suddenly suspicious and family affection was inappropriate. I tried to stay calm, to reassure her, but nothing I said seemed to matter. She had constructed this entire narrative in her mind, and my protests only seemed to confirm her worst fears. Then came the ultimatum: return a heartfelt gift from my brother's wife, because my girlfriend had convinced herself it meant something it didn't. Hurt Selena's feelings, and potentially damage family relationships over Aubrey's unfounded jealousy. I cannot do that, I said quietly. It would be cruel to Selena, and it would send a message to my family that I don't trust them. This gift means something to me because it shows how much she cares about making me feel welcomed in their home. Aubrey's face went white, then red. So her feelings matter more than mine. Your girlfriend of 2 years matters less than some woman who married into your family. That is when I realized we weren't just fighting about a stuffed toy anymore. We were fighting about trust, about boundaries, about what kind of relationship we wanted to have. And I was starting to understand that maybe we wanted fundamentally different things. The fight has been ongoing for 3 days now. Aubrey has enlisted her mother and sister, who are both telling her that she is absolutely right to be suspicious. Women don't make personal gifts for men unless they have feelings. Her mother said when she called yesterday, "You need to nip this in the bud before it goes further." Meanwhile, I am sitting here holding this innocent stuffed character, feeling like it has become a symbol of everything that is wrong between us. Not because there is anything inappropriate about it, but because it has shown me how little trust exists in our relationship. I love Aubrey. I really do. But I am exhausted from constantly having to defend normal family interactions. I am tired of walking on eggshells, worried that any kindness shown to me by another woman will be twisted into evidence of betrayal. Am I crazy here? Is it really inappropriate for my sister-in-law to make me a thoughtful gift? Should I return it to keep peace in my relationship? Or is this a red flag that is telling me something important about our future together? I honestly don't know anymore. Part of me wonders if this is just who Aubrey is, and I need to accept it. But another part of me is starting to wonder if a relationship built on this much suspicion and mistrust can ever really work. What would you do? Update 1. Thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. Your responses helped me realize that I wasn't losing my mind, and that the situation with Aubrey was more serious than I initially thought. Unfortunately, things have escalated dramatically since then. Yesterday morning, I made what I thought was a reasonable decision. I told Aubrey that I wouldn't be returning the gift, but that I understood her concerns and wanted to work together to address the underlying trust issues in our relationship. I suggested we could go to couples counseling, or even just have a calm conversation about what was really bothering her. Her response was explosive. She accused me of choosing Selena over her, of being blind to another woman's advances, of not caring about her feelings. But what really shook me was when she said, "Fine, if you will not protect our relationship, I will do it myself." I should have asked what that meant. I should have pressed her for details. Instead, I was so emotionally drained from days of fighting that I just let it go, hoping she would calm down and we could talk rationally later. That evening, I had plans to go to Lucas's place. Nothing special. Just our usual weekend gaming session that we have had since we were kids. It is one of the few times we get to catch up without distractions, and it has been important to our relationship as brothers, especially since he got married, and we don't see each other as much. When I told Aubrey where I was going, she immediately announced that she was coming with me. "I want to spend time with your family too," she said. But her tone made it clear this wasn't about family bonding. "Unless there is a reason you don't want me there." I tried to explain that this was traditionally just brother time, that Lucas and I had been doing this for years, and that bringing girlfriends or wives wasn't really the point. Selena usually uses these evenings for her own hobbies, or to visit with her friends. "So Selena will not be there?" Aubrey asked, and I could hear the suspicion creeping back into her voice. "I don't know," I said honestly. "She might be. It is her house too. But that is not why I am going." That is when Aubrey revealed the depth of her paranoia. She had convinced herself that my gaming sessions were actually elaborate excuses to spend time with Selena, that somehow Lucas was either oblivious to his wife's supposed feelings for me, or worse, complicit in some kind of emotional affair. The argument that followed was unlike anything we had had before. Aubrey accused me of lying to her, of sneaking around, of having inappropriate feelings for my sister-in-law. When I tried to defend myself, she just got more worked up, saying that my defensiveness was proof of guilt. "If there is nothing going on, then prove it," she demanded. "Either I come with you, or you don't go at all." The woman I loved was asking me to prove my innocence of a crime I hadn't committed, demanding that I alter a cherished tradition with my brother because of her own insecurities. "No," I said quietly. "I am not going to prove something that doesn't need proving. And I am not going to let you dictate my relationship with my family based on your unfounded fears." I went to Lucas's anyway. I felt terrible about it, but I also felt like I was fighting for something important. The right to maintain normal family relationships without constantly justifying myself. The evening with Lucas was exactly what I needed. We played our games, talked about work and life, and just enjoyed each other's company like we always had. Selena was there for part of the time, bringing us snacks and chatting briefly about a project she was working on, but she mostly left us to our own devices. It struck me how normal and innocent it all was. How twisted Aubrey's perception had become, that she could see threat in something so genuinely familial. But when I got home, I found Aubrey waiting for me with red eyes and a face full of accusations. "How was your evening with Selena?" she asked, before I had even closed the door. That is when I realized that no matter what I said, no matter how I tried to reassure her, she would never believe me. She had decided what the truth was, and nothing I could do would change her mind. We are barely speaking now. She is staying at her mother's house, and honestly, the apartment feels more peaceful without the constant tension and suspicion. But I am also heartbroken. I love Aubrey, and I hate that we have gotten to this point. I hate that something as innocent as a handmade gift has revealed such a fundamental incompatibility in how we view trust and relationships. Some of you in the comments suggested that this pattern would only get worse if I gave in to her demands. I am starting to see that you were right. If I had returned the gift, it wouldn't have solved anything. It would have just found something else to be suspicious about. Some other way that my family was supposedly threatening our relationship. I don't know what happens next. Part of me wants to fight for us, to find some way to help her work through these insecurities. But another part of me is realizing that I cannot fix someone who doesn't think they are broken. How do you love someone who doesn't trust you? How do you build a future with someone who sees enemies where you see family? I am still holding on to that stuffed character, and every time I look at it, I think about how something made with such care and kindness became a symbol of everything wrong in my relationship. Maybe that says everything I need to know. Update 2. I honestly didn't expect to be posting another update so soon, but something happened yesterday that I never could have anticipated, and I need to process it somewhere. Selena called me yesterday afternoon while I was at work. She sounded hesitant, almost nervous, which immediately caught my attention because she is usually so confident and composed. "Damien, I hope you don't mind, but I reached out to Aubrey," she said. "I asked her to meet me for coffee this afternoon." My stomach dropped. "Selena, you don't need to get involved in this. It is not your problem." "But it kind of is, isn't it?" she replied gently. "If my gift is causing problems in your relationship, then I want to address it directly. I care about you both, and I hate thinking that something I did with good intentions is causing pain." I tried to talk her out of it, worried that any direct contact would only make Aubrey more suspicious, but Selena had already made up her mind. She had texted Aubrey that morning, asking for a chance to clear the air face to face. Selena said, "I think she is curious about what I have to say." Part of me was terrified about what this conversation might unleash, but another part was oddly hopeful. Maybe if Aubrey could hear directly from Selena that there were no hidden motives, no secret feelings, maybe she could finally let go of these paranoid fantasies. I was wrong about a lot of things, but I was especially wrong about how that conversation would go. Aubrey came home around 8 of the clock last night. I could tell immediately that something was different. Her whole posture was deflated, and she couldn't quite meet my eyes. "How did it go?" I asked carefully. She sat down across from me at our kitchen table, and for the first time in weeks, she looked genuinely vulnerable instead of angry. She is really nice," Aubrey admitted quietly, "and she is completely, obviously in love with Lucas. Like, she lights up when she talks about him in a way that is impossible to fake." I felt a little surge of relief, but Aubrey wasn't finished. She explained about the gift. She said she had been thinking for weeks about what to get everyone for Christmas. And when Lucas mentioned that you had been playing this game constantly, she looked it up and thought the character was cute. She spent 3 weeks making it because she wanted to give you something personal and meaningful. Aubrey paused, twisting her hands in her lap. She said she made similar things for other people too. She knitted Lucas's dad a scarf, and she painted a portrait for her own sister. Making things is just who she is. I nodded, waiting for her to continue, sensing there was more. And then, Aubrey's voice got smaller. She told me she was worried about me, about us. She said she could see how much you love me, but she was concerned that I was letting fear destroy something good. That is when Aubrey started crying. Not the angry, frustrated tears I had seen so much of lately, but something deeper and more raw. She asked me why I was so afraid of losing you to her specifically, and I couldn't give her a good answer. And then she said something that really got to me. Aubrey looked up at me then, and I could see something breaking apart in her eyes. She said, "If I wanted Damien, I wouldn't have married his brother. And if Damien wanted me, he wouldn't be with you. The fact that you are both choosing different people should tell you everything you need to know about where everyone's hearts really are." I felt something twist in my chest, partly relief that Selena had been so direct, but partly pain at seeing Aubrey finally confronting the irrationality of her fears. But then, Aubrey continued, and her voice got strange. "I said something terrible to her." She looked down at her hands again. "I told her that if she ever got divorced, she'd just be another woman in your life trying to take you away from me. I actually said that to her face, Damien. I implied that her marriage didn't matter, that her commitment to Lucas was somehow temporary or fake. I stared at her, shocked. Even in my worst imaginings of how their conversation might go, I hadn't pictured Aubrey saying something so deliberately hurtful. The look on her face, Aubrey whispered. She was so hurt and disappointed. She looked at me like I was a stranger, like I was someone she didn't recognize. And then she said something that I cannot stop thinking about. Aubrey met my eyes again, and I could see that whatever Selena had said next had shaken her to her core. She said, "Aubrey, I came here hoping to help you save your relationship, but I think you might be the only thing standing in the way of your own happiness. Damien loves you enough to fight for you, but love cannot survive in a place where trust is impossible." The kitchen fell silent except for the sound of Aubrey's quiet crying. I wanted to comfort her, but I also felt something hardening in my chest. The cruelty she had shown to Selena, who had done nothing but try to help, revealed something about Aubrey that I had been trying not to see. "She is right, isn't she?" Aubrey said finally. "I am the problem. Not Selena, not your family, not even you. It is me." I reached across the table and took her hand, because despite everything, I could see she was in pain. "Aubrey, recognizing the problem is the first step to fixing it." But even as I said it, I wondered if it was too late. The damage to our relationship felt so extensive, and I was emotionally exhausted from months of defending myself against accusations that had no basis in reality. "I want to fix this," she said, squeezing my hand. "I want to get help." Part of me wanted to tell her that yes, we could work through this together, that love could conquer even this level of dysfunction. But another part of me kept thinking about what she had said to Selena, about the months of suspicion and accusations, about how exhausted I felt from constantly proving my innocence of crimes I had never committed. "I need some time to think," I told her honestly. This conversation with Selena, it has made me realize how deep these issues go, and I need to figure out if I have the emotional energy to work through them with you. She nodded, tears still flowing. "I understand. I hate that I have brought us to this point, but I understand. She is staying at her mother's again tonight, and I am sitting here in our apartment, holding that innocent stuffed character, thinking about how a simple act of kindness exposed fault lines in my relationship that maybe were always there. I love Aubrey. I really do. But I am starting to understand that love alone might not be enough to bridge the gap between who she is and who I need her to be for this to work. Tomorrow, I think I am going to call a therapist. Not couples counseling. Individual therapy, for me, because regardless of what happens with Aubrey, I need to understand how I got so deep into a relationship with someone whose fundamental worldview is so different from mine. Maybe the stuffed character isn't a symbol of what went wrong. Maybe it is a symbol of what healthy relationships actually look like, built on trust, kindness, and the assumption of good intentions. I am not sure I have ever had that with Aubrey, and I am starting to wonder if I ever could. Final update. I didn't expect to be writing a final update so soon, but the past day forced everything to a breaking point. He told me Selena had come home from that coffee meeting in tears, blaming herself for not being able to help. Hearing that made me realize Aubrey's jealousy was just hurting me. It had hurt someone who only ever shown her kindness. Lucas said something I could shake. "Damien, you need to ask yourself if this is the kind of person you want to build a life with. Someone who twists kindness into something ugly." That night I lay awake, finally admitting I'd been asking the wrong questions all along. Not how can I fix this, but is this even worth fixing? This morning Aubrey showed up wanting to talk. She researched therapy, said she was willing to change. But as she spoke, I realized I was already done. My answer was quiet, but final. "Aubrey, it's too late," she cried, admitting she never really trusted me, that every kindness from another woman felt like proof she wasn't enough. I felt sorry for her, but also relieved. She packed most of her things and left. The apartment feels empty now, but peaceful. "You'll always be family here." That reminded me what real love feels like: safe, generous, trusting. I realize now I'd been living in constant anxiety, waiting for the next accusation. Maybe therapy could help Aubrey someday. but I don't have to sacrifice my peace to find out. I deserve someone who trusts me, who adds joy instead of suspicion. I am keeping the stuffed character Selena made, not as a reminder of failure, but as a symbol of the kind of love I want, love that builds rather than destroys, that gives without turning it into a test. Love shouldn't feel like a trial. I am sad this ended, but not sorry. It's over. Sometimes walking away is the only way to give both people a chance at real happiness.